What is up, guys? Welcome to episode number 5 of the Dad's Live podcast. I am your host, Sean Flack 2.0. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about going hard in the paint and what exactly does that mean for parenting. Stay tuned. So today's episode is what came, obviously, we're talking about parenting, so eventually we're going to talk about it. We're talking about discipline. We're talking about accountability. And I wanted to wait before I brought this topic up to kind of ease stuff in. But me and one of my coworkers, we started going to a conversation about discipline. And, he has young kids and I got young kids and I got a teenager. And you know what I was like? Sometimes, he tagged the line, sometimes you got to go hard in the paint. Now, we were sitting there and we're, getting our work done. And he says, hey, want to check out this video, tell me what you think about it. And I'm going to go ahead and it's an Instagram video. He sent me the link, so I'm going to put the link in the show notes below. So go ahead and check it out and, make your own comments and things like that. And then we can talk about it in a later episode if you'd like. But for sure, discipline is going to come up more than once in this podcast. So this is not going to be the first time we talk about it. But today I want to talk about the perception of discipline. I want to share an experience that I had with somebody, and then, of course, the perspective that people judge you from. So I'm going to describe the episode if you don't see it on the link or whatever, you don't want to click on it. But basically, it's a black woman beating her kid. Looks like in public, like in a, maybe like a hallway of an apartment building or maybe something like that. And so she's hitting him with a belt. And, of course, he's screaming bloody murder. And you hear the belt make this pap, pap, pap sound. And toward the end of the video, there's this, kid or whatever. And he says, I don't get you, old school parents. And it kind of cuts off right there. So me and my coworker were looking at it. And so he's like, what are your thoughts on that? And, I have to start off this segment saying this is not something I would do. I wouldn't beat my kid in public the way she did. And we counted the 16 whaps. But I couldn't judge her. I couldn't bring myself to say if he deserved that ass whooping or if he didn't. And, I'll tell you one thing. I didn't think I saw it as child abuse because she was saying something. You really can't make out the audio. He's just screaming his little butt off or whatever. And about after the 16th whap, he gets up and runs away. So I don't see that as child abuse. I don't see that as, I don't see her trying to trap this kid and whoop his butt and then keep whooping his butt. And if he tried to get up and run, she grabbed him, tossed him down and keep whooping his butt. And he's a little bit of a plus size model. So, I don't think he was really that injured if he could get up and run. Now, I'm from the old school. My dad was born in 1929. He had me, as I said in previous episodes, he was 52, and he ruled with an iron fist. So, this is not something new to me. Now, this may be different for all these new age parents, but this is something I've seen and I've experienced myself a couple times growing up. And me and him, we're sitting there talking and, he tagged the line. Sometimes you got to go hard in the paint with these guys out here, with these young men young boys trying to be men. And I said, I can't really judge yes or no. Depending on how you looked at the situation. Maybe she was, that single mom that's having trouble with her teenage boy. Dad's not around. And that's the only way she knows how to bust his ass. Make him, learn that lesson. It's really hard for women, especially when there is no positive influence for the boys. It's really hard to teach lessons to these boys out here. They're going to take their cues from other things they see around in the street. Now, that in itself is all bad. So I really couldn't judge. I couldn't judge and say that he deserved that ass whooping. I couldn't judge and say he didn't deserve that ass whooping. I just know that, when I was growing up, I had to get my ass whooped. And it didn't, phase me, or at least I don't think I'm crazy. It didn't phase me too much. So one thing that he brought up was the comments. He's reading the comments. I actually did not read the comments as of this recording, just because, you know, depending on your perspective on where you are as a parent, or how you grew up, or what your values are, or whatever, I don't agree with some of what people say. You know, we grew up poor. So that ass whipping was probably the only resource we had. We didn't have counselors and, well, go ahead and send him to the psychiatrist. We didn't have none of that. We didn't have, oh, well, he's ADHD, give him some medications. We didn't have none of that either. We had that belt and we had that firm hand. And, you know, talking to some experts, because, I am, trying to be a different dad than my dad was, they're telling, when it comes to certain things, that we should let natural consequences occur so they can learn the lessons their way. Well, in my reality anyway, sometimes those consequences, those natural consequences, don't come soon enough for the lesson to be learned. Now, I'm not saying you go out there and beat your kid for every little thing, but kids should be held accountable for certain things. As example, grades. We're having trouble with grades with with the kid, with the teenager, and he thinks it's annoying that I talk to him about his missing assignments. But he's really, really happy he has A's and B's. But he doesn't want to see me with none of that. He doesn't want to listen to me when I ask him, where's this assignment? Where's that assignment? How come this is late? How come that's late? And me and the wife were talking. We're like, well, maybe we should just let him go and let those grades come at the end of the quarter. And I was like, okay, yeah. Then I had to second think that. And I was like, you know what? No, because we don't ride him now and he brings F's and D's. And then we get into his ass and he's sitting in his room for 2 weeks. Or we get into his ass now and let him be annoyed and let him hate us, I guess. You're adolescent teenager. You don't know what your parents, what your parents see. So you hate us. But at the end of the quarter, you bring home A's and B's. So there's that. And then there's also that natural consequence of the system's going to take care of it. And that's obviously as we get older teenager, young adult. And I'm sorry, but I don't want no police officer or parole officer teaching my son a lesson I should have taught him a while ago. I should have taught him how to be a better person, not lie, cheat, and steal. Oh, well, let the system take care of it. Let those natural consequences happen. Let him learn that way. Well, sometimes, and, as I say, my coworker, he tagged along. Well, sometimes you got to go hard in the paint on these kids. You got to hold them accountable, and you have to set a standard for them. Now, this video, again, I don't condone. I wouldn't do it, but I don't know the situation behind it. And I guess what makes me angry is when he's telling me about the comments, people were talking from different perspectives. Oh, you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't do that, or you should, you know what? In my opinion, mind your business. I'm going to share a little story that happened to me. Now, say, the kid was maybe 4 years old, 5 years old. He's 5. And we go to the train station, and he'd go to every machine and he'd hit that little audio button, ADA button that makes the machine talk to you. He'd run up to all 5 of them. And he did this a couple times. And I told him, because we caught the train every day, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I want to say about the 3rd or 4th time he did it again. So I grabbed his hand, I put his hand in my hand, and I smacked his hand. So, of course, he starts crying. Oh. And up the escalator, this person, you shouldn't be hitting your kid like that, and you shouldn't be doing this, or you shouldn't be doing that. And I proceeded to cuss his ass out all the way up that escalator. And I said, you know what? I'm trying to be the person that keeps my son in line so that 20 years down the road, he's not robbing you. And mind you, we're in a shady piece of the neighborhood where you could step out the train station and get robbed. So here I am trying to be a dad, trying to teach a little accountability. I already set the standard and I smacked him on the hand. Now, did I smack him clear across the thing? No. But when you clap your hands together and a kid starts crying, you automatically assume something and then you want to speak on something you have. Well, I don't know about you, but this person decided they want to speak on something they had no business speaking on. Now, I get it. There are people that beat their kids for no reason. I get that there is child abuse. I get that there is, um, people getting arrested for hitting their kid. And I just recently in the news, this Fresno lawmaker gets arrested for beating his or spanking his kid. Now that right there is a different story. As that story develops, more and more things are coming out. So I don't know if I agree with what he's talking about. But anyway, but there's people out here, yeah, that are abusive and that are taking advantage of these kids and that are and then they got those parents or whatever. I never hit my kid. I never do this and I never do that. And I go to think like, how old is your kid? Okay, yeah, 2, 1, 2 months, 4 months. You hadn't even got to any of the stages where they're gonna be defined yet, let alone no teenager, no teenage boy, no teenage girl. In fact, you may not hit them, but that don't mean you don't want to. So anyway, this is going to be the first episode where we talk about discipline. I'm going to get more people on here to talk about their different perspectives. And obviously, I just wanted to start that topic. Eventually, we were going to get to discipline. And this was just one I told my coworker, I said, I'm going to make this next episode called Going Hard in the Paint. Sometimes you got to go hard in the paint. Because as parents, we have to keep our kids accountable because they're going to be a direct representation of us in these streets. And if we don't take that serious, then they won't take that serious. As little as it may be, set that standard. We grew up knowing respect. We grew up knowing, respect was a big thing. Because I'm not as disciplined as I'd love to be, but respect above all else. Respect yourself, respect others, respect your parents for sure. Respect your elders. Don't go around taking advantage of people. Respect each other. So I'm not seeing that taught nowadays. I'm not seeing that respect for elders, for each other, for authority, none of that. Everybody seems entitled. And that may be my perspective of the world that I live in, but I see that more often than people being respectful. So, yeah, what I would like from you guys is go ahead and check out that video. I will eventually get that in the show notes below. Go ahead and click on it and, leave me a message. Leave me a message. If you're listening to this on the Anchor app, go ahead and leave me a message, little voice message I could use in any of my next episodes. Or hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/Sean Flack, and connect with me. Send me a message. Tell me what you think about this. What is your perspective on discipline? And I know there is a hard line drawn. I know that. I know that there's a line that I myself wouldn't cross, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't think about crossing it. But yeah, so get at me any way you can. Either at the website, that's www.seanflack.com. You can hit me on the Facebook, on Twitter at Sean Flack, with any comments, questions, comments, or emotional outbursts about this particular subject. I promise you this will not be the last time we talk about discipline, especially as I'm trying to do this a little bit more chronological. This is not going to be the last time we talk about accountability or setting standards for our kids or anything like that. But for sure, that that video spurned that, and I had a lot to talk about that, especially sharing that experience with you guys. And again, I would like to know if you have any experiences where somebody, misdrew, judged you for something you did to help discipline your kids or teach your kids a lesson. And how was that taken? And was that lesson learned? Because I'm going to tell you, I have almost like 3 and this may not be right, but like I have a 14-year-old I have, which by the time I release this, he'll be 14. And then I have a 2-year-old and about to be a 1-year-old. So there's a large gap. There's a difference between disciplining a toddler and disciplining a teenager. Because the teenager think he better than you. The teenager think they know more than you. So, tell me what you think. Tell me what your experiences are. Because I definitely would like to know that. And then, for any dad that's out there, man, just keep your sons close. Keep your kids close, but keep your boys close. For sure. Teach them how to be men. Teach them how to be gentlemen. Teach them how to be warriors. Teach them how to be scholars. Teach them to be respectful. But all else, keep them close. So that's going to be it for today's topic. Again, some shameless plugs I'm going to go ahead and put out there. First and foremost, hit me up on the SeanFlack.com webpage. It's a Sean Flack 2.0 blog page. Has links to the podcast you're listening to, the YouTube channel, which I'm coming out with some more content, hopefully sooner than later. So thank you for your continued support there. There's about 32 of you guys. I appreciate you guys being very patient with me as I'm trying to branch off into some other media as well. There's obviously, like I said, a link to this. It is a blog page, so there are a bunch of different blogs that are on there that I'll be pulling information from to put on the podcast. So if you're interested to see what episodes may be coming forward, go ahead and check that out. You can check me out on Facebook. That's facebook.com/SeanFlack 2.0. Or just look me up, Sean Flack. Go ahead and like the page there. You can hit me up with any private messages through that. Leave any comments or anything like that. Always love your support there. And of course, Twitter, you can get a direct at Sean Flack. That's SeanFlac. That'll come directly to the phone. I don't get too many tweets, so when people tweet, it comes straight to me, and we get to interact. So it's very fun. Check that out. Obviously, if you are listening to this podcast, it is on the Anchor app. Pretty sure they're going to run some credits at the end of this thing, but you can also find me on Overcast, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and just recently, so excited, is iTunes. I just got the email that we're on iTunes now, so check us out there for all you Apple users. Last but not least, shameful plug for Gamezilla Media. I'm going to be pushing them all the way to the new year. GamezillaMedia.com. Check them out. They're working with the Gamers Outreach to raise money to provide a mobile gaming cart to a local children's hospital. Grimlock, the CEO of Gamezilla Media, spent a lot of time as a kid in the hospital, and he had games in there to kind of keep him preoccupied and not so focused on why he was actually in the hospital, to help him get through. And him and his team over at Gamezilla Media are trying to keep or give back in that same way, so that other kids that are in the hospital there that are sick, they could have a little something that'll take them away and take that focus off of why they're actually in the hospital. So check them out, GameZillaMedia.com. Click on the banner at the top to go ahead and donate. I believe they're trying to get to $7,000. They're a little over $5,000. They have to the end of the year. So go ahead and go over there, click, donate, share, like, and let them know Sean Flack 2.0 from the Dad's Life podcast sent you. One last thing I'd like to add on there is I am looking for affiliates, local business affiliates, to add to the webpage. If you are interested, there's no necessary perks except to be added. Some of you guys are already going to be added by default because I do frequent your either business or, I support what you guys do. So I will be updating the website to add those affiliate links to local vendors, local, artists, and things like that I support, that I definitely like to push. I love that message, things like that. So if you are interested, you are a local business of the San Francisco Bay Area, and you'd like to be added to the affiliate links on the Sean Flack 2.0 page, hit me a message on any of those forums that I said. So either Facebook, Twitter, here on Anchor, or or on the website. You can send me a message through the website as well, SeanFlack.com. If you're interested in, again, just some cross networking, no monetary anything. I definitely just love supporting local business, small businesses, locally owned and operated. artists, things like that. If you got something, some service or anything like that, that you are local, and we can sit down and chat. Maybe you could be on the podcast to plug your stuff. Again, just look in the network. If you're interested, hit me up. I'm always down to support some local folks. Other than that, I think that's gonna be it for today's episode. As always, thank you for listening. Always looking for that constructive criticism. So hit me up on any of those places. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you think about the podcast so far. And until the next one, we'll talk to you soon.